Good afternoon. So yesterday we took a look at adding and subtracting radicals. Today I want to take a look at multiplying radicals. So getting right to it. So number one, I have two radical expressions and they're set up just like if I had two polynomials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to FOIL or distribute. Okay. So if I take 5 times 5, I get 25. That shouldn't be a surprise. Okay. Then I take 5 times the square root of 2. So I have um, a rational number versus a radical, or multiplied times a radical. So 5 times square root of 2 is just 5 square roots of 2. So I multiplied the 5 times both terms in the second radical expression. Then I'm going to distribute the negative root 2. So negative root 2 times 5 is negative 5 square roots of 2. And then negative root 2 times root 2, well, positive times a negative I know is a negative. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just the number 2, because the square root of anything times itself is just that number. Now I'm going to look to combine like terms. Well, I know 5 square roots of 2 and negative 5 square roots of 2 cancel each other out, so I'm left with 25 minus 2, or 23. All right, moving on to number 2, we have a very similar problem. But in the first problem, I had a rational and a radical. Now we just have radicals across the board. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did in number 1. We're going to distribute both terms of the first expression into the second expression. So if I multiply it, the square root of 10 times the square root of 10, root 10 times root 10 is just the number 10, because the square root of anything times itself is that number. And then the square root of 10 times the square root of 6, we have the square root of 60, or 10 times 6. Then I got to distribute the negative square root of 6 times the square root of 10. Negative times a positive is a negative, square root of 60. And then negative root 6 times positive root 6, negative times a positive is a negative. Root 6 times root 6 is just the number 6. Then we start combining like terms. Root 60 minus root 60 is 0. So I'm left with 10 minus 6, which is the number 4. Now, as we take a look at number 3, this one's a little bit different because the first expression only has one term. So I'm just going to distribute that one term into the parentheses. So 2 times 7 gives me 14. Square root of 5 times square root of 3 is the square root of 15. Minus 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 5 times 10 is 50. Then I'm going to go ahead and break that 50 down with the factor tree, which gives me 2 and 25, which is 5 and 5, pair of 5s. So we have 14 square roots of 15 minus 2 times 5 square roots of 2, or 14 square roots of 15 minus 10 square roots of 2. And I could try to break 15 down, which is 5 and 3, but there's no pairs. So we're going to leave the answer as 14 square roots of 15 minus 10 square roots of 2. Now, as we move into number 4 is very similar to all the other ones. So again, we're going to distribute, or you can FOIL, 2 square roots of 7 times 5 square roots of 7. 2 times 5 is 10. Root 7 times root 7 is 7. Then we have 2 root 7 times negative 11. 2 times negative 11 is negative 22. Square root of 7, the other one doesn't have a radical, so it just stays square root of 7. Then we distribute to 4. 4 times 5 root 7. 4 times 5 is 20. And then I have square root of 7. Minus 4 times negative 11 is negative 44. Then we start combining like terms. Well, here I have a 70. Negative 22 root 7 plus 20 root 7 is negative 2 square roots of 7 minus 44. Then I take 70 minus 44, I get 26 minus 2 square roots of 7. They are not like terms, so I'll leave them separate, and that's the final answer there.